couple of years? Are you switching over to NFL football now? Is that your new fix?
I've been thinking about it. But then I'm like, yeah, I'm not that too knowledgeable in football, but I will explore it.
Okay, awesome. Well, listen,
I'm more in the stocks. Yeah.
Cyber, I stole your thunder because I did a dry start to the live stream, so I'll go ahead and just call it really quick. Hey, folks, Cyber's moderating tonight, so I'll let him take over. But it is 5/23/2025, and I am very blessed to be here to do a recap of Andor Season 2, Episode 5. So I will pass it over to my good friend and longtime co-host and veteran content creator, Cyberneticshark. You like how I introed it to you like that, Cyber? I threw to you.
Oh, beautiful, sir. Beautiful. You did a great job, sir. Nicely done, sir.
Kind of like Johnny Carson when he used to have that guy. What was his name? That was his second in command.
Ed McMahon.
Ed McMahon.
Yes.
Ed McMahon's the man. So, anyways, folks, welcome to the show. Like Mr. Jeff said, we are going to be discussing the 5th episode of Andor Season 2. Which happens to be called I Have Friends Everywhere. This one happens to be written by, this time, Bo Williamson, and also, once again, directed by Ariel Kleiman, coming in on her, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth directing duty. She's actually directed the first 5 episodes, so that's pretty impressive. So we have her directing again with Bo Williamson doing the script for this one, doing the story. And this episode was just absolutely fantastic. I thought I really enjoyed it. I thought we had a great episode here, and it really got me stoked again for this series and really got me into it. So I think it's going to be as we keep going, I think it's going to get better and better. Of course, as always, we have joining me Mr. Jeff S. TrueKnowledge. How are we doing, Jeff?
Oh, I'm doing okay, sir. I'm happy to be here with a newcomer like Philip, and then to have people like Wrath of Khan back on the panel for the first time in a long time. Now that I think about it, not just Imran's first time, but I think our first time with Imran with Wrath in 2025. I think the last time we saw him was Doom Prophecy.
There we go, folks. Thank you. And, of course, we have returning from the Jock and Nerd podcast, Imran. How are we doing, Imran?
I'm good. So good to see you guys. So good to see Wrath. I missed him. I was very excited. It was a nice little surprise when he popped in. I was like, oh, shit, I hadn't seen you since the Acolyte last year, bro. So I'm excited to get down and talk about the best thing Star Wars has ever made. I'm just going to say it.
Thank you, Imran.
There you go, Imran. Jump on that bandwagon.
And of course, also returning is the Wrath of Khan himself. Khan. So how we doing, Khan?
Oh, I'm doing great, guys. I'm doing great, Cyber. Man, it's like first episode of 2025 with you guys was episode 1. Got so many great surprises. Matt, Jason, others that I forgot off the top of my head. I'm so glad to see Imran again. I knew Imran was coming. Okay, I will say that out there. I knew Imran was coming, so I'm glad I was a surprise to him.
Matthew was supposed to be here too, but he couldn't make it last minute. His daughter had a soccer game.
Oh, okay, that's okay. He needs to do his dad duties, but we'll miss him.
All right, thank you, Wrath. Good to see you, sir. And then, of course, coming on for the first time with us from the Thawedcast, Mr. Philip. How are we doing, Philip?
Hey, greetings, Chut Chut and Bolshuda, whatever galactic greeting you prefer. Thanks so much, Jeff and Cyberneticshark. I know you guys have kind of done the moderating around here. I've caught up on a few. I've done the recaps of Andor season 2 so far. I listened to the first episode of your Acolyte recap. Was impressed and looking forward to kind of the commiseration of listening to the remainder of that season with you guys on this MCU's Bleeding Edge. That should be kind of a real treat going through that whole series once more.
Excellent. Great to have you, sir. And glad you enjoy the episode you've watched so far. All right. So, Andor episode 5, season 2, as I was saying, once again, it's called I Have Friends Everywhere. And so, basically, just to kind of get the ball rolling, I want to see where everyone's at with the series up to episode 5. Not including episode 5, the first 4 episodes. And since Philip, this is your first time here, I'd like to ask you, what were your thoughts on the first 4 episodes going into this episode, sir? And kind of your overall thoughts. What were you expecting out of episode 5 as well?
Yeah, it's really been ramping up until this point. Really kind of got back into the groove of the gritty, really nuanced, paced writing of the original series. Really, struck me as sort of a revelation for Star Wars, really digging into the spycraft, the wartime politics of what we would love to see from a series based around Star Wars. And the first arc, the first 3 episodes, they call them blocks of episodes internally in the writing staff, that they seemed maybe a little more I don't know, run of the mill in terms of what I expect from your Star Wars, Disney series on Disney Plus. It just kind of didn't have that same level of intrigue as maybe some of this second arc has had thus far, where we are getting much more into the nitty gritty of the espionage. But I did enjoy, those first 4 episodes, and that first block of 3 had some really exciting stuff. The tie sequence and the scenes on that Mina Rao planet, the farm planet. I mean, some really tense moments there. So just really brilliant writing all around. This series is continuing to deliver, but perhaps some of the weaker aspects of the series were on display in kind of the first 3 episodes. Certainly nothing to compromise my love of Andor.
Excellent. Thank you, Philip. All right, going over to you, Imran. Same question, sir. Your thoughts of the first 4 episodes leading into 5, and kind of what were you expecting from episode 5?
Well, I'm gonna agree with Philip, because if I'm being completely honest, that first arc was a little frustratingly leisurely paced, if I could say so much. It was a little slow, and I get it. It's a slow burn. You got to set things up. You got to get everybody readjusted to the first arc. Do we really need 3 episodes of a wedding? I don't know if that was necessary, but I get it. They were setting the tone, and like Cassian was like tied up for like an episode and a half, for like half of that first arc. He is tied up, right? Great. And he's on this planet and all this stuff's going on. But now with 4 and 5, I expect it to start simmering. Like it's going to ramp up, slow simmer to a boil, to an explosion point, to the aftermath. But the show, it still looks amazing. It's acted amazing. It was written amazing. The first 4 episodes so far. The production design, the lived-in sense of these worlds are fun. Just to see like an apartment with like a sink and dishes and TV shows, and this is like the most lived-in Star Wars has ever felt to me.
Imran, it's nice to see that big Star Wars and spend a lot of money on it and have it actually produce something out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you see it. You see, and the shooting on location makes a huge difference. Puts this a bar above everything else, and it just felt real. So I was a little frustrated. It was slow, but I was like, I'm invested, and I trust these guys. They know what they're doing. And as we get into episode 4 and 5, I was like, all right, stuff's starting to happen. Let's watch this slow simmer, and as we focus on Gorman, which becomes really important, for the series. So.
Excellent. Thank you, Imran. Going over to you, Wrath. Same question, sir.
Yeah, so as everyone said, first 3 episodes were slow, but I will say the only highlights, the things that I really liked about those first 3 episodes were mainly the political side with Mon Mothma and just the politics behind the rebellion. Especially the end of episode 3, that like Dance music was
That's
epic.
great. That's a great bit. Yes.
I know. And even at the same time, at the end of episode 3, like I never thought that anyone could display this like notion that you could dance your way out of depression like that last scene in episode 3. Like just seeing her dance, you know, all that stuff. It's like no one is able to convey that specific feeling better than whoever did that. So awesome. But I will say the Star Wars community is funny because they love the music, right? And they're like, yeah, Mothma, go do your dance. All while we all know deep down she is depressed. So it's like we're cheering her depression.
That song was a banger, though. That's the thing.
It is like even when I'm working, I will like listen to that song. Like I'll put on repeat, man. It's so cool. But
I saw it on YouTube today as an individual video. Somebody put it up as a straight up, you know.
Oh no, they have an hour-long
comment
video.
section?
They have an hour-long video of Mon Mothma dancing.
Yeah, that's what I was listening to. Yeah.
Oh, that's the like, yeah.
Dude, did you read the comment section,
No.
bro? Like that section is gold. But anyways, so about Gorman. So as a guy who watched Rebels growing up, I remember the first episode, Mon Mothma was in Rebels. They mentioned Gorman.
Yeah.
And it was such a tiny detail that like at the time we're just like, yeah, who cares? But then it's like when I look back at that episode, I'm like, holy shoot, whatever she's talking about with Gorman, it's like we're gonna see it in this season. And I'm just so excited. Like this tiny detail ends up being magnified here in this season, in this arc. So overall, it's like, even as a Star Wars fan, first 3 episodes, I wanted to quit. Just know that. But because I'm a Star Wars fan, I just commit myself. Even if it's like Alkalite, right? I committed myself through the end. So I trust these guys. These are not the woke guys who made Alkalite. And yeah, I'm also here too. So I had to watch it anyway.
Great. That was awesome. Great job, Wrath, on the I'm also here too shit or whatever. That was absolutely wonderful, sir.
Perfection, sir. Perfection, Wrath. Great job. All right. Thank you, sir. Going over to you, Jeff. Your thoughts, sir, leading up to episode 5.
Well, I'm also here, sir. I know you might be shocked, but I'm here.
You're here too?
Yeah, I'm on the live stream. I'm here. In body and soul, which is almost like some shit they'd say in Acolyte, or something. You know what I mean? Some Acolyte poetry for you. But
the witches are there.
It's so funny to bring up the word even the word Acolyte out of the Andor episode recap. It's like
it's giving me trauma. Stop saying that word.
It doesn't work in the Andor universe.
Acolyte.
So honestly, I forget. Are we doing the intro of the episode, Cyber, or were you asking about Andor, the episode in general?
No, I was asking your thoughts leading up to episode 5.
Oh, well, I mean, Andor is so high level. Like everybody else already said, I never had any doubts at all during season 2. Even when some parts of the first episode or 2 were a little sketch, for Andor kind of sketch. I was like, okay, I'm sure they'll round this out, overall. You know what I mean? They just gotta give them a minute, and Tony Gilroy will step in, the writing will step in and deliver, maybe it'll just be the next arc, when the show will really catch. And that's what happened, you can clearly see the distinct difference between the first couple episodes and now at the point of episode 5, going into episode 5. I mean, the music, the composer, the composing of the Andor, soundtrack as it is, right? I forget the wonderful gentleman's name that has that role. He is something Lindau. I can't remember. He's good. He does a really good job with
Nicholas Britell.
Yes, Nicholas Bertel. He does a great job composing for Andor, and the music that he put out there for the end credits of episode 5 was outstanding. If anybody hung out for those end credits and like listened to that music, that song was beautiful. It was really good. It's very Star Warsy, but different. The feel of the music and like the composition of the sounds of the music of the show, right? It has that Star Wars vibe to it, and it's got some Rogue One tones to it, but it's very unique to Andor. You know what I mean? And they've kept that going again in season 2, along with, the great job of season 1, right? I don't think he's gotten enough praise for the work that he's done. I think that from a commercial, establishment sense when it comes to Emmys and winning awards and that sort of widespread recognition in the industry, I think that that's tough with a Star Wars show, or a Star Wars property. You know what I mean? Coming from that heavy sci-fi, space aliens background, right? Shows like that, movies like that don't get a lot of award nominations and stuff like that, from that genre. They're not. It's not a norm for films like that and TV shows like that to always get, the widespread appeal of like, winning Emmys and things like that and getting nominated for awards. But I think Andor is gonna change that. I think because
it's actually Brandon Roberts did the second season. Sorry, Nicholas Bertel did the first season.
Okay, all right. Well, that's interesting. Thank you for pointing that out, Rod.
Yeah.
So that's a good nugget of information. Yeah, I mean, season 2's been great. It's a lot of fun. I'm loving the honestly, with Andor, you got to expect the slow burn and be the type of person in the audience that actually really, not just like Star Wars, but likes sort of, the strengths of Andor, the good writing, the good acting, the ensemble cast, right? The extremely good casting that they did for Andor, right? With wonderful casting on all the secondary characters, all the side characters are well cast, right? And a lot of these people that are out there aren't named, commodities in the game, really. Andor kind of got them going, in a lot of ways. Some of these people, right? A few of them don't really have a ton of credit, experience, in the game. So I think that Andor is going to be rewarded overall. I think with just like it already has in season 2 with its reviews. But I think critically it's going to do really well award wise, and it's going to be recognized. And I think that more of the cast is going to get recognized. I think for their work after season 2 than really did during season 1. And I think that I think Disney would be smart to work with Tony Gilroy again in the future on Star Wars stuff, or whatever he wants to work on. You know what I'm saying?
So he can help make woke content better, right?
Redo Rogue One again.
No, I just want to see him do more, write more stuff that's like on Andor's level. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like, I mean, if he created Andor essentially, then like, it just makes sense to trust him again, I would think, to do other stuff. You know what I'm saying? It seems like it would be a good investment financially for Disney to stick with something that works, so I think he'll be in demand big time coming off of Andor season 2. I think he'll be really in demand. And I think he'll probably do well off of it.
You just said the girl playing Clea, Elizabeth Dulal. This is her first acting gig, so you're right about they're discovering people on the show, and she's amazing. And this is her first ever thing.
It just feels like they did everything right with Andor. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like all the decision making and everything. The people, the directors they brought in to do the episodes, the casting. Just everything. The cinematography is outstanding. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do an Andre's a pop culture guy type contribution to the panel right now or anything like that. But Andor makes you want to talk about it.
Ooh. I gotta add, even Bix herself, the way how she looks, literally, even at work, like there are like girls who look like Bix. So whenever people tell me their name, I'm like, oh, so the girl that looks like Bix. And I was like, yeah. It's like people like Bix are like a verb already.
Well, to answer your question about the Acolyte and Tony Gilroy, I don't think that Tony Gilroy writing would have saved the Acolyte, Wrath. You know, the Acolyte had a lot of problems. Like as an opposite to Andor that has all these strengths, the Acolyte had a lot of flaws. It wasn't just one or two. It had a lot of fucking fucked up things going on, man. You know what I'm saying? The whole premise of it just was not good. So, like, even good writing, I don't think the writing was even that bad on the Acolyte. That wasn't the problem, really. It was everything else. But no, I mean, Andor looks great visually, right? Like you'd expect it to look for how much it costs. I haven't seen the budget for year 2, but I know the first season cost like $250 million, I think. You know, so it was not cheap. And they spent, you know, it looks like they don't spare expense when you watch Andor. All the little details in the scenes, right? Clothing, accessories, objects, you know, all the things that are in the world that you're watching of the Star Wars world of Andor is all you paid attention to, you know. No attention to detail is expense is at all across the span of these episodes.
$290 million season 2, more than season 1.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of fucking money, man. Holy
That's
fuck.
a lot of money for a TV show.
Holy fuck, man! You could make 3 feature films with that budget. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, they made like 4 movies essentially for that money.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. No, I think that I think they recognized that what they have with Andor season 1. You know, that's why they bumped up that budget. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, there's still a lot of really. I mean, the thing about it is, it honestly, it does suck knowing that Andor ends at season 2. I think all of us would love to have gotten more of Andor, you know, and that does suck, you know, that they're not going to be. This won't be back again for a 3rd season, because it is really exceptional. And
he was going to do 5 seasons. He was going to do each year as a season originally planned, and then he changed it to this.
I'm just, you know, I mean, as somebody that really became a bigger Star Wars fan, a lot, you know, because of Andor and because of reviewing Andor in this setting with other good, you know, fine folks, you know, across the table, you know what I mean, discussing the episodes and all that, you know, 2 or 3 years ago or whatever with Cyber, right? Not knowing at all what we were getting into, just that the trailers looked great, you know, and had a great tone to them and like, you know, looked really HBO type level. You know, but it's a Star Wars type show, and we went with that. You know what I'm saying? And it was a great gamble, and it paid off. You know what I'm saying? You know, because nobody knew anything about Andor when it came out, other than it was a prequel to Rogue One. There was no premonitions as to like, you know, the level of excellence it was going to be. Right? It came out of nowhere. So, you know, coming from that place as someone who's not a massive Star Wars fan like maybe Wrath is, you know, like who's not really a full-fledged member of that fandom. I love coming on here and meeting people that have straight Star Wars focused podcasts and stuff like that. You know, it's a lot of fun hearing their opinions and things like that. And watching the impact of Andor season 2 hit in that Star Wars fandom. I'm watching it like, you know, daily is fun, you know, seeing all the videos on YouTube about, you know, like everyone said, the best Star Wars ever, you know what I mean? And shit like that. I never would have thought ever in my life you'd hear that about anything, you know, you ever hear that about Andor. If somebody would have asked me about Andor before it came out and we covered it, if I thought that was possible for the show, I'd be like, fuck no, you know, like, sorry, but like, you know, or I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But it's crazy, man, how out of nowhere the show came from. And yeah, season 2 is a blast, Cyber.
Well, thank you. I'm glad Andres is here in spirit. 60-minute man. Yeah, it's great. So great, sir. Good job.
That's right. I talked for him and me. Him and me, sir.
So yeah, great job, sir. Good job. Anywho, great job, everyone. Everyone gets 10 million gold stars. Y'all did a great job.
Woo.
So yeah, you guys got 10 million points. You're on your way to the great award at the end of the night. All right, so getting into the actual episode. So, like I said, once again, the episode is called I Have Friends Everywhere. So basically, the episode starts out where Clea learns that Skulden intends to audit his antiquity collection after one of his pieces turns out to be a forgery. Threatening to expose a bug she planted in his gallery room and forcing her to extract it during the upcoming investiture party. So we'll stop there. So pretty much we get that beginning sequence, with that, with, her, we see her over listening to them, the bug and everything. And then she basically goes to, Skarsgård and tells him the situation, and they kind of have their little argument and everything. And I think it's a really great sequence to really start off the episode. It's really powerful, really fun, really gets you into the episode, and really delivers, I think, a really great performance by both actors and in the sequence. And I think that it really kind of gives you an idea of kind of where, Skarsgård's character is at, and kind of like, what he's putting on the line to try to, to help the rebels out and to get, them to be able to stop the Empire. And, I think that it's a really solid start to the episode. So going around the panel, what are your guys' thoughts on that kind of beginning section of the episode? And just kind of anything else you noticed in that opening sequence that you might have found interesting? And I'll start with you again, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, geez, it seems like that's really far into the episode when that conversation happens. Like, at least based off of my recollection from just watching the episode right before the show, you know what I mean? It feels like that was way out there. But either way, regardless, yeah, I mean, the openings of Andor episodes are never really like super, stellar, they go out of their way on that kind of thing type deal with Andor, it's a very subtle show, that again is, has that slow burn to it. And this is, a pretty typical Andor episode sort of opening, in a way. They don't really usually throw a lot of like wild card, intense stuff at you right off the bat. They don't go for that shock value in openings of Andor episodes. It's, the episode structures are almost sort of a slow burn in a way sometimes, and work their way, up to a payoff. Yeah, the tone of episode 5 is great. That it has that really great, thick, sort of, Captain America, Winter Soldier-esque, like, sort of, spy, thriller, esque vibe sort of, feel to it a little bit, right? Along with the sort of like dark and like gritty, and like dirty kind of feel that Andor season 1 really has, almost, dirty kind of slummy feel, that's there. That's back, that's there, that feel, that tone, that Andor has. And, it's cool to see them be able to pull that off in different geographical settings now in season 2, I'm loving so far in season 2 overall, not just in episode 5. I'm loving the experience of getting to know these different locations and stuff that they're working from this year, or this season. They've changed some of that stuff up. You know what I mean? And it's fun, and it's exciting to be in the audience and watch, like, a Star Wars television show or movie introduce us to like different planets and stuff like that, and civilizations and stuff, especially when an effort's been made to, pay attention to their language and their dress and how, and their all those logistical aspects of the planet and the civilization and culture and all that, to have it, give it like its own unique sort of culture and stuff like that, and heritage, within the Star Wars universe. As long as it's done well, it's fun, to watch that and get to experience that. It's one of the fun things about Star Wars content, is the, the different planets and the space aspect and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, so far, I'm loving the stuff from the Gorman Rebellion people. They're fun to watch. Cassie and Andor is always a great character, on Andor. You know what I'm saying? So of course his scenes right off the bat in episode 5 are great. Just watching him walk around in is great, or whatever. Just he looks great on screen. The way they shoot him. I love it. Seeing him, listening to him, listen to that, like, almost like that, book on tape shit he had going on, where he was listening to like the information about his secret, his fake identity or whatever, was great. That was a great touch, what wonderful Tony Gilroy, touch bonus to the episode, right? And to the lore of Andor, its own lore, within Star Wars, which I think Andor definitely has that. There's stuff that happens later on in the episode, in episode 5 that we'll touch on, where you could really see some of the stuff that, Tony Gilroy put into Andor to connect to the general Star Wars lore. You know what I mean? A la Wrath talking about, the stuff with Rebels, and Bob Mothma and all that. And you can see it, we've all seen it throughout Andor, all in season 1 and season 2, where he's done a great job. I think that he's not been given enough praise, I think, for doing really unique, fun stuff within the, the Star Wars realm, as a creator, just, adding a lot and doing a lot of really cool Star Wars stuff within this, within the Andor, universe, where it is sort of new and like different than your usual Star Wars deal. I think you see a lot of that with Andor. In episode 5, there's definitely moments like that. The situation with Luthen and his assistant is very interesting and makes sense. That when you're living that sort of having that sort of lifestyle or whatever, as a rebel, leader or whatever like that, it makes sense that you would logically run into things like that happening, like a bug potentially being caught, or found or something like that, you're going to have things like that. So that's very it's very humanizing as like as an issue, as a sort of, big, thing going on within the show. That's a great, storyline or plot to have going, that really works well, I think, on a human level. It's very logical that, things like that would happen. It's a very insignificant kind of boring premise. It's cool, it's very Andor, esque, to have, to be able to make something like that, an issue like that, as exciting and like, tension building an element, when it's such a benign sort of, thing to begin with, that I think a lot of other TV shows or movies in the Star Wars verse wouldn't pay attention to do, or wouldn't go in that direction. Episode 5 is very laid back. It's very much like, how an Andor episode usually is. And there's no action at all, but episode 5 and the opening of it is great. Last thing, the Saw Gerrera stuff. I think we do see Saw right in that opening, at least once for a minute. And I love all the Saw Gerrera stuff. I'm down for all that. Always great to see that bring back that character. Watching him and seeing him in Clone Wars was one of my favorite experiences or aspects of going and watching Clone Wars. After it came out, it was already over. Was seeing the stuff with Saw. So he's very well acted in Andor, as a character, a live action character. That was a great decision to have him involved.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Go to you, Wrath. Your thoughts, sir, on that opening sequence.
Hey, so I just want to clarify, only the scene where they're both in the shop and they overhear the conversation. That's it, not the cantina where we catch the two people having sex and stuff.
Correct.
Just that one tiny scene. Okay, Cyber, I have to say,
that's what the symposium says on Wikipedia. That's what I'm going by. So
okay.
Yeah, I mean, any of that,
dude, it's so
any of the stuff that Jeff mentioned, you could talk about.
Wait, I could talk about that short scene after that.
You can talk about any of that sequence that includes that scene in it, sir.
The one that I was talking about with the sex, like.
Sure.
Okay, all I will talk about is how Star Wars they do a great job normalizing interspecies relations, where you will see like a Twi'lek with like just anyone else, even a Hutt. And with this scene, it's like you have a human that is with a cyborg, not cyborg, Frankenstein, whatever you call it. And I'm just like, this is just Star Wars, classic Star Wars by DNA. So if you want to know, like, if a film is Star Wars, you just gotta look at that. That's pretty much it. I can't comment much on the short opening sequence because all I could say is a lot of times with these Andor episodes, these short beginning sequences end up leading to something much bigger later on. Like how in the previous season, even literally that first episode, like that first scene where these ISB or Imperial officers are just chilling at the club, whatever, getting drinks, violating the protocol, the code of ethics. That ends up later on leading to, this rivalry between Cyril and Cassian. So we'll say with this scene, it's like, yeah, they want to audit the legitimacy of those artifacts, but it's going to play a big role later in the series. Wait, what? Okay.
Don't pay
You never know. You never know, Cyber. He could be watching his live stream while stuck in traffic.
Anywho,
that's all I want to say. That's all.
Okay. Going to you, Imran.
Look, it's spy shit, right? They're doing spy shit. It's good to know they're listening to everybody. He's got ears everywhere. I love the production of her device that slides out of the console. Like it's futuristic and retro. She's spinning things, but then she's got to like put in 1/4-inch patch cables, like it's an old timey phone operator. Also, like fantastic mix of recognizable tech and new tech. Just the production of the whole thing. The designs are so good. But yeah, and I also kind of like that moment where they overlay what she's listening to the scene of Skulldin and them in the gallery, but you're hearing kind of like the radio transmission. But Clea is very important. She hears everything and then decides when to tell Luthen. It's almost like she's more in charge than he is at times. But yeah, good spy stuff to open up this episode.
Thank you, Imran. Going over to you, Philip. What were your thoughts on that opening sequence, sir?
Oh, delightful. Yeah, I love the sound design of the opening title sequence as well. It's kind of fun how Andor has a unique title sequence for each episode. And this one, it was, yeah, very much cashing in on the sounds of the, the various listening devices and, yeah, these... what's the term for that? Anyways, they're really just going all in on that, the conversation-esque, Francis Ford Coppola film with I can't do names right. But yeah. The just exploration of these characters in their roles. Clea, she seems to really take charge, and of course there's this compromise that this occurred within their operation of a listening device for surveillance on the Skulldin character, and yeah, it's just so captivating. Pays off mightily in the following episode too, during an exciting sequence. Yeah, not a lot of heavy action in this episode. There's like one guy who gets shot and that's pretty much it, but it's all just kind of a slow burn here, but I'm here for it. Getting set to go to occupy this cover role that that Andor Cassian has on Gorman. It's very reminiscent of like characters that you play as in like a classic Star Wars video game where you go to Nar Shaddaa and you're infiltrating some kind of gangster's lair or something. He's going into the underbelly of Coruscant to retrieve like this cover story that he's been given, and he's using code phrases and stuff. Just real classic spy thriller kind of stuff.
Excellent, thank you, sir. Yes, most definitely. I have to say the music when Cassian is making his way while he's listening to that recording thing was amazing music. I was so down with it. I loved it. I thought it was so cool, so awesome. And I thought it was just a really great soundtrack going on in the background. That music was awesome. I was like, ooh, I want this just as a soundtrack to listen to all the time. I'm like, damn, that's good. So I had to throw that out there. That was really fun. All right. Great job, everyone. You did a fantastic job. So where this takes us here in the symposium synopsis, whatever you want to call it, it says Cassian connects with the Gorman rebels and learns they plan to intercept a weapons shipment, but he deems them too inexperienced and shoots down the plan, much to their frustration. So, I mean, there's quite a bit that goes on in this sequence. We see him, he interacts with one of the people that's at the hotel. We see him interact with the one gal before he actually goes to meet all the rest of the people at the shop. Then we have the shop sequence where he's talking with them and they're going over the plan and they show him the plan. And while this is going on, in between, of course, we see Cyril and Deidre. And, Cyril goes sees his mom and we have a brief part with her. And, of course, we have the unfortunate extraction of his office that happens in this episode, where basically he's detained so they can look for a bug in his area of work, which was really interesting. That all happened too, kind of in this sequence. There's so much that goes on here I'm surprised they didn't get a little more information here, which kind of is frustrating. But we have all that going on. So whatever you guys remember, go ahead and talk about it. So I'll go right back to you, Philip. What are your thoughts on this section leading up to Cassian shooting them down for that plan that they wanted to basically do?
Yeah, really exciting seeing him land on Gorman, and really getting to know this Gorman Liberation Front, and really not being impressed with what they're offering. And I mean, great kind of interaction too, introducing us to some of the plight of the Gorman people with this bellhop character at the hotel. And he would later play a role, not to get ahead in the series, but like, developing a friendship on this planet right away with sympathetic Gormans. And the fact that like this whole idea of the Gorman massacre is something that's been present throughout Star Wars canon, now Legends, basically dating back to the late 90s, I think. And so, like so many stories within Star Wars, there are things that have been told several times, and they sort of just get layered on top of each other in aggregate to try to make sense of some of the continuity, if possible. Sometimes you get a total retcon of things where something that was previously established is totally overridden. But here, we do hear about a previous Gorman massacre. And of course, the Gorman massacre was referenced in Rebels when Mon Mothma's giving her famous speech. But then, we get this notion of like these retcons incorporating previously established canon rather than just totally superseding it, which is kind of fun because the story of Moff Tarkin landing a cruiser on a crowd of people is now something that's being brought into the current official canon, and then we'll later see this other Gorman massacre that Mon Mothma is directly referencing in her famous speech in her exit from the Senate. But yeah, like and Andor, he encounters Enza, and she's overly eager. She's kind of at risk of blowing the cover of the Gorman Liberation Front, and I just kind of appreciate that level of depth within the dialogue where they are. Yeah, they're really mining the detail and the value of the mundane, just the mundanity of just this conversation in a cafe, and how that could lead to just their whole operation on Gorman being blown. Well, I mean, I guess little do they know that so much of what they are doing is being set up. They are kind of being made patsy by Dedra and Cyril, who's also infiltrating the Gorman front in his own way. But yeah, it's just so fun how all these various moving parts are being put into place, and no one really knows the full picture. Even I suppose we as the audience are being left in some things.
Agreed. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many variables that are into these episodes. I feel that there's so much to learn. You can watch these episodes several times and probably catch something new every single time you watch it. So, great point there, sir. Thank you very much.
But Philip's onto something though, Cyber. It's to bounce off what I said already before. The use of the mundane, sort of. That use of of the sort of nothing, burger like moments and components of story, that they work off of, on Andor. It's just again a bonus to to the creative process there with the show. It's outstanding.
Yeah. The name I was blanking on earlier, of course, Gene Hackman recently passed, so
yeah,
just wanted to get that note. R.I.P. Gene Hackman.
Yes, Gene Hackman. Yep, I just did a tribute review for him. I'm doing several of his films as tribute to him for his passing. So yes, Gene Hackman, such a great actor, very, very amazing actor. All right, excellent. So moving on to you, Imran. Same question, sir. Your thoughts, kind of in that section of stuff.
So to mirror everybody's thoughts, right? This show is very subtle. Sometimes it's almost too subtle, but to their credit, they don't spoon feed you anything. That you have to pay attention. There's so much subtext within the lines, the looks. It's layered and nuanced. Right? Like even Cyril acting up, he finally gets a chance to be all cocky and mean and kick stuff, but he's playing along. He knows that there's a listening device there. He knows that there's an infiltrator there. He's got to play along because the plan is for him to pretend to get turned, but he doesn't know the whole plan. Cassian, this Varian Sky personality is fantastic. It's a great cover. I love learning that Gorman was known for its silks. That's why there's spiders everywhere. They have amazing threads. His hair is fantastic because it's usually down, but it's like in this big coif, and he's got the jet. It's a great cover. But then when he shows up, it's so funny. He's like, "What are you doing? You guys aren't ready. Stop having your people follow me. This is all too overt. This is not a good idea. You guys don't even know what is going on." And then that line plus I love Gorman, just the look of it is very like French European. Of course, Tony Gilroy pulling a lot of this from the French Revolution. This made up language is fascinating because it's kind of like French mixed with gibberish. And the fact that they use it and they show us subtitles is great. But the whole look of Gorman, the set, the little marketplaces are it's just really well done. And yeah, to your point, Philip, this is the beginning of them being led into the slaughter. They're doing exactly what the corporation wants them to do, and it's kind of like, listen to Cassian, he's probably right, but they don't, and they really can't, because things are now starting to get set in motion that just build and build. So a lot of good stuff in that section there. Yeah.
And right, I don't think they ever showed a hotel room before in Star Wars.
No, that's another thing. Like you get a nice little look of a little hotel room. Oh, and that story it's sad, but it's also hilarious that Tarkin just dropped the whole goddamn starship on people. He's like, I don't care, get out of the way or don't. I'm landing this thing here. And they're like, you put up a statue here? Is that wise? And then he's like, you want people to remember it. So I love that when he was actually getting interested in the bellhop and trying to get him to open up a little, and then learns that he is sympathetic to the cause, just being himself. So Cassian plays like several different undercover dudes in this whole series. I think like 4 different ones, but it's all part of it. And the fact that he didn't even want to do it is also great. He was very reluctant. He thought it was a waste of time. But yeah, the intro to Gorman is great.
Excellent. Yeah, also to mention that this was also the first episode or anything Star Wars, I feel, that we saw like a TV show.
Yeah,
happening in the Star Wars universe.
You got like
that was interesting too.
It's like Fox News propaganda shows, and you got talk shows, and I'm like, this is crazy. I've never seen, but of course they would. Of course, the Imperial would have their own controlled media.
That's what I was talking about, Imran. Tony Gilroy just, and the people at Andor, they just do a great job adding on to the lore of Star Wars in this show.
Yeah. But it's all like real world stuff you have seen happen in revolutions, in these historical events, and he's pulling from all of it and putting it together, and it feels right.
Agreed, most definitely. But yeah, like going back to that TV show that whatever Vix was watching, I was kind of cracking up because I was like, holy crap, that totally makes me think of the shows that they showed in RoboCop.
Oh yeah.
You know, the one guy, he's like, I got $1.
I'll buy that for $1.
It was like that era.
Yeah.
It was that era type of feel, like to that whatever that show was supposed to be. Yeah. And I think that's hilarious that they had that pop up because I'm like, I don't ever remember seeing anything from that. So I thought that was so awesome. So going to you, Jeff, your thoughts, sir, on that section.
Yeah, I mean, are we all the way out in the episode to where we're covering where Luthen comes to Steve Bix?
Yes.
Yeah,
that happens in there. Yeah.
I was kind of dreading that visit by Luthen to Bix, to be honest with you, for her as a character, just because like Luthen is such a hardcore dude, you know what I'm saying? That like in Bix's current state, drug addicted, not no longer valuable or useful. She's just being hidden, that's
another new thing. Space drugs in Star Wars. I never seen that before. That's like a space heroin.
I know. No, I mean, honestly,
have you forgotten about spice?
Yeah, it's essentially very similar to Dune spice.
I mean, we do get space in Halo.
No, it's about Star Wars spice.
Oh,
yeah, they did spice before, so it's already been done.
Oh, is that what that blue liquid was? Do you guys know exactly the eye drop in the blue liquid?
Yeah, she admitted that was drugs already to Luthen in that scene. Yeah. She admitted it. It was obvious. Come on. But
where can I get some? That's my question. It looks fun.
Well, you gotta talk to Bix about that, sir. I don't know.
She got a guy.
Let's get some Kool-Aid.
Yeah, blueberry Kool-Aid.
Gotta get her number, sir, or talk to Luthen. I mean,
I want to see a Star Wars drug dealer. That's a show right there. Show me that show.
I used to fuck with Boba Fett back in the day, but since they didn't come back and do another season of that show, my relationship with him fell off, so I don't really have that, that inside, track now, unfortunately, in the Star Wars universe. But I'm sure I probably will bust off my Tusken Raider, costume at least one episode of Andor, so I can go full Tusken Raider for the show, just to show my love for Star Wars. But the stuff on Gorman is great. Seeing the hotel room is great. Seeing Cassian probe the Gorman Rebellion is great stuff, just great overall fun to watch, TV, Diego Luna does such a great job with Cassian Andor as a character on Andor, I feel like he's probably overall, if you wanted to pick somebody, he's probably the MVP of episode 5, you know, in terms of, you know, who kind of stood out, right, among all the different pieces that they have working with, you know, in terms of the characters on the show, you know, there's a lot there, you know, and they do a great job on Andor of blending all the different subplots that they use in the different episodes, you know, with the story, right? And making it all flow so well, you know. It's never boring. It's never, you know, overdone or like not well done. You know, it all fits well, you know, when they jump from plot to plot and all that. And they do a great job of that in this episode. The stuff with Deidre and Cyril and the ISB and his you know, shit with the Gorman Rebellion is very interesting and, like, you know, again, suspenseful, great, you know, addition to the season, you know. And their scenes together in season 2 are great. They're great in episode 5. You know, seeing Cyril's mom again is always good. You know, having him go from Gorman to Coruscant, you know, to go back and visit mom and all that, you know, it was interesting. Having seeing him get his office, you know, sweep for bugs and all that, you know, was interesting. You know, I thought for sure they were going to find that woman there from the rebellion out, but they didn't. But they set something up for later that, you know, on the show that could be interesting. So yeah, a lot of cool things happen in that section, and like I said, you know, not good for Bix to be, you know, get seen by Luthen like that, you know, because I mean, he likes to take people out that are expendable, right? And I don't think Bix is off that. I don't think she's you know, like special or anything like that, you know, to Luthen as an agent, you know, to where she's like protected class or anything like that. I think she's you know, you know, wide open in terms of being killed. So yeah, there's a couple there, you know, there's no Mon Mothma in this episode, you know, which I thought was interesting. They went in that direction, right? No Mon Mothma at all, you know. But very good injection of Luthen, you know, and you know, I mean, Clea, you know, Elizabeth Dulu or whatever that plays her, you know, they, you know, they can't give her enough screen time with Luthen. Their scenes are awesome, you know. Watching them argue about the rebellion and, like, you know, watching her role, you know, with Luthen, with the rebellion, and her listening to all those conversations and all that shit and whatnot. It's impressive, you know, and interesting. She's a great character, you know, to carry over from season 1, you know. She probably doesn't get enough recognition for that either. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think I missed anything really, you know. It's obvious that the Gorman Rebellion is in peril already, you know, very early in the season, you know what I'm saying? You know, and so it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds, you know, overall. But I felt like the scene at the hotel with that bellhop guy was great. Very, you know, very impressive, high level scene, you know, of episode 5 right there. You know, and it was very, very cool to see Andor sort of, you know, showing a little bit more of a human aspect of his character, you know, just through his interactions with regular people. You know what I mean? You know, he's a, you know, a compelling character on this show. So most definitely, sir. I wouldn't be surprised if Diego Luna probably gets nominated or wins an Emmy probably for Andor season 2. You know, so we'll see.
Can I just say Deidre and Cyril have two of the greatest moments in this whole show. Like, they're going to get Emmy nominations. The first is when Cyril first gets home, right? The perfect representation of the relationship. And they haven't seen each other for a while. And he goes, I wasn't followed. And she's just like, I know, I had you followed. And he didn't notice. And then what's her way of foreplay? She just goes, turn out the lights. That's it. And then they're going to bang. Meanwhile, Cassian shows up to Bix and they're all passionate. It's hilarious. And then when he goes in front of Partagaz and he does a good job and he's so happy. And he's just like, if I said today was the best day of my life, would you hold it against me? It's hilarious. And she's like, I'm glad to see you're happy. There's no expression. These two are so cold. It's amazing. Like it's such good acting and character work.
Yeah, but it's very Cyril. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, for him
Cyril
to
is
have-
great, dude. He became my favorite as the show goes on. He becomes more and more a favorite character.
That's a very in character remark for him to make. And,
Yeah, it's perfect.
and Cyril and Deidre are very appealing, even as villains. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, from the audience standpoint, you know, they're very like, you know, love hate, you know, as characters. So
You want one of them to turn, right, and come to their senses and flip.
yes, sir.
Pretty much.
No.
All right. Raph. Your thoughts, sir.
So are we gonna? So I just want to clarify with you. So this is like from the beginning when he's being listened to, Cyril, up until Lutheran visits Bix at the safe house. Just that segment.
Wrong. Nope. Let me read it for you. So this is basically we're talking about when Cassian connects with the Gorman rebels and learns their plan to intercept the weapon shipment, but he deems them too experienced and shoots down the plan, much to their frustration. This is also the section where we see Cyril and Deidre. They have their moment. He goes see his mom. We see him buy that ant thing for his mom. We have the sequence with the bug in his building that, you know, basically they're all thrown out so they can look for a bug section, and kind of all that in that little section there leading up to, you know, basically what I said, them Cassian shooting down that plan for the Gormans to take that shipment out.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna go start off by talking about the spider that Cyril gave to his mom, because as someone who doesn't like spiders, I guess just a whole segment's about Gorman. You know, you have the spider prop from earlier and stuff. It's just like, ew. Okay. but I find it unique that they represent this whole segment with spiders. Because if you think about it, a spider, right, when they make a web, you have all these different parts, all these different circles, but they all connect. And with Andor, the great thing that Tony Gilroy, even the previous writers, even from season 1 and so on, the great thing about them with the writing is they always have all these different stories and they interconnect them. And what better way of representing this overall structure than with spiders, especially in Gorman. So I have to give props on that part. Even though the spiders look ew, and I'm surprised that they don't have arachnophobia. I mean, look at the mother. She was so comfortable, just playing.
I love when the mom is like, I'm going to call this one Cyril.
I know, right? I'm just like,
so mean.
That's like the worst thing to do.
Yes, that's so mean.
I know.
He can't get no respect from his mom.
No respect at all. No respect at all. But like, what else? What else was I gonna say? Okay, about the hotels. So actually, we have seen hotels before in the Clone Wars. Like there were a few episodes where it's like this, like Padme would be in a hotel, you know, before she makes a big speech and so on. I think she was even held hostage in a hotel in like one of the Clone Wars episodes.
I'm talking live action.
Oh, live action. Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's probably the first. Yeah, maybe. I'm gonna come back to you on that. What else do I want to talk about? Other than that, Cassian's a great actor. I mean, Diego Luna's a great actor, and he's just like playing another actor again as, you know, that liberal arts student, whatever you call it, film student. I don't know. He's a great actor.
He's an interior designer.
He's a fashion designer. No, you're all
fashion designer. They all seem the same to me. Okay,
those are all different disciplines. You know, I went to art school. Look, you would get them very upset if you're like, that's all the same thing. Oh no.
Interior designer.
Oh no, he's a fashion designer. It's very different.
You called him an interior designer.
Yeah, no, he's not. He does.
It looks the same to you. Exactly. I'm kidding. But that's cool. You went to art school. That's cool. Hey, that's all I have to say. Okay, other than this guy's a great actor, Diego Luna, and he's pretending to be someone else. He's not pretending to be an actor. Okay, I'll say that. Don't get mad at me.
We're all gonna laugh at you now, Justin, for saying that.
What?
We're all gonna laugh at you.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
Anyway,
Oh
good job, Jasmine. Good job, Raph. Great job, sir. Good to have you here. All right, great job, everyone. Another 10 billion points for everyone. You all did a great job. All right, so moving on from there, after that plan is shot down by Cassian, Cyril reports back to Coruscant with news of the heist, with Partagats and Deidre agreeing to let it go through to empower and control the rebels. So let's talk about that a little bit. So that scene, I think, is a very interesting scene. I thought it was very, Empirist. It was very, I think totally up the wheelhouse of, Cyril thinking he's in control when he really isn't. And I think that scene really shows kind of the breaking point for the Empire and kind of why they fail, overall. So what are you guys' thoughts kind of on that, just that little sequence there, them talking and everything and their plan and everything? And, I believe during that sequence there too, we kind of get that's actually intersects with the Cassian stuff and the frustration with Gorman's. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? And I'll start with you, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton to say about that, really. I mean, it's a very, well put together scene with, three great characters. I love the ISB chief guy. He's great. Hats off to that actor that plays him. He's wonderful on the show. Yeah, I mean, it's very much like the Empire, to go in that direction with their strategy. You know what I'm saying? And let the Gorman Rebellion have a win, as they said. And let them revel in a win. You know what I mean? As a way to set up what they really want in the end, which is to essentially have a reason, to have like a mass killing event or whatever at Gorman. You know what I mean? So it works out well for their overall purpose. You know what I'm saying? This rebellion, it's very Empire-esque, and like, the Empire, imperialistic, this strategy and this situation that they're in, in terms of, having Cyril, actually, as a double agent with the rebels, you know what I mean? It's a great, piece of storytelling, so far this season. So that's it.
Excellent, sir. Thank you. That was great. Very, very great, sir. I thoroughly enjoyed that thought process. All right. Going to you, Raph. Same question, sir. What did you think about the Deidre, Cyril, and the other guy little combo they have about letting the rebels win?
I think it's ingenious. I think it gives a new light on the Empire, because typically when we think of the Empire, we think that all they want to do is just win, win, win. Never give any victories to the other side. But this just like adds more character to the Empire. It shows that they're actually smarter than we think they are. It's really ingenious, especially since even in real war, like you would give your enemies some victory, whether it's a false retreat or just anything, in order to give a bigger blowback to them later on. And that bigger blowback later on, which is the massacre, like that's what we're going to see. You're going to give them the victory to get an excuse to do the massacre. You want to create a lot of unrest in order to make the rebels actually look bad, and to also add credibility to your propaganda outlets. I mean, if the rebels don't have victories, it's like whatever the Empire says about the rebels, it would like have less meaning. But like if there's actual like meat on the rebels, like how big of a threat they are, why they have to justify all these security measures, like by giving them victories, it just helps create that case. And at the same time, giving those victories would also give difficulty to Mon Mothma as she later like tries to defend Gorman and other systems that have rebellions. So this little segment is, it just adds more color to the Empire, makes him look more fierce, more tough than like what episode 4, episode 5, episode 6, like the movies show the Empire as.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Going to you, Philip. Same question, sir. Your thoughts on the Cyril, Deidre, and the other Empire guys, little combo?
Well, you know, Cyril's line at the end of that exchange probably mirrors something he said earlier in the day, shortly after their little rendezvous in the apartment, shutting off the lights. At the end of that, he was probably like, does it spoil it if I ask, did I do okay?
You think he said that? And also, this was better than that? This is the greatest. Yeah. So, they got the bang and he got praised at work. Best day of his life.
It's just kind of the typical beta male vibe I get from him. And I love him for it. He's a total boss, to be sure, Cyril. I've enjoyed his character. Every moment of him on screen thus far throughout the series, he's always just been so compelling because he is giving us some on the ground insight into the Imperial apparatus, and how, you know, they can be, you know, very much competent in their workings, but also, you know, we're used to seeing them being treated as sort of incompetent and cannon fodder when viewed from the lens of sort of the A-tier characters, the heroes of, you know, episodes 4, 5, and 6, where you know, we're having to evade, you know, stormtroopers and their you know, lack of marksmanship and so forth. And maybe it's the Force playing a role in guiding these heroic characters through all these circumstances. But here, when we're really in the mix, in the mess of it all, we really get to see, the backroom dealings, Major Partagaz and Dedra, and this conspiracy. You know, this isn't just a conspiracy theory or some kind of, you know, shady innuendo. We're actually seeing the conspiracy being hatched itself, and that's always really fun. You know, we love as fans to theorize and to prognosticate on all these, you know, what could be going on behind the scenes of all these grandiose conflicts presented in the Star Wars. Well, here we get to actually see the inner workings, and it really is just such a delight. And then, the notion of having to really to gauge the level of retaliation from the Gorman front, and don't let things get out of hand, but just continue to stoke the flame and allow it to simmer, so that, you know, we can wait for the right moment to strike and cause the biggest amount of PR influence throughout the galaxy as possible, and that kind of thing will be it'll be enhanced and amplified by people like this, you know, the Moffy and Toffee character on this talk show, and you want that kind of Star Wars media, you know, the media within Star Wars, something that we don't often see, although we've seen things like camera, you know, media holo cameras and stuff during the Senate meetings in episode 1. There's references to that, but rarely do we get a sense of what the like popular social landscape is within Star Wars. So finally we're getting a glimpse of that here, and I appreciate that level of just willingness to explore some of these previously, apart from maybe the Star Wars Holiday Special. We got to see aspects of that, but here it presented in a more palatable fashion, I would say.
Skeleton Crew had a little bit of that too. I felt like, you saw a side of it, families and kids, and they got to play games. All look very familiar. That was cool.
I don't mind that. Yeah, I think it adds just some real world authenticity and yeah, just a new, a bit of a new facet to Star Wars that, when told as well as it is here in Andor with the expert screenwriting, I'm all for it.
Excellent. Thank you, Phil. Great job, sir. Another billion points for you, sir. All right, Imran, your thoughts, sir, on that wonderful.
I love Partagaz because he looks like a guy who was born to be an ISB officer, like just the perfect look. But Cyril finally gets something he's been chasing this whole time. It's just praise. Like, somebody tell him I'm doing a good job. Just tell me I'm doing a good job. That's all he wants. And he finally gets it. But it's fascinating that the game Deidre is playing, because she's withholding information using Cyril, and he's using the Gorman front thinking he's doing a good job. But, you'll see he starts to get frustrated. And that may bite him in the ass, because I was like, this is your boy, but you're using him. You are not telling him the whole story. And this could put him in danger. So I thought that was interesting. Cyril almost becomes more sympathetic to me than Deidre as the show progresses. So, but yeah, I love seeing the little being in the room where it happens, as they say in Hamilton.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right. Excellent, everyone. Great job. Great job. All right. So basically, that kind of takes us towards the end of the episode, where we definitely get more Saw action with Saw. And basically, we have in this section, we kind of have that little talk between him and Plutai. And, basically him saying, that, we should keep the kid. We should, bring him along with us. And he's like, oh, okay. And then that's when we have where it goes to where Saw kills Plutai after learning that he's a traitor, and then has Wilmon work the extractor on the heist instead. And basically we get kind of that great scene. He's like, so we had a traitor and I missed. And even though they would know where they could have an ambush, we will be several parsecs away from that while we're doing our heist, And he basically says that, and they end up taking off and go to where they're doing their heist thing. And then he gives that amazing fucking speech that I absolutely think is the best fucking speech in the entire episode. Just one of the greatest talking points in this episode, I think. He did a phenomenal job. And we have basically Wilman take off his mask and go, and stuff like that. I have no idea what the fuck was going on there, but it was basically like he was egging him on kind of like thing. But that's basically how the episode ends. So what are you guys' thoughts kind of on that final section of the episode with Saw, and anything else that you might recall from that section there, and just kind of your overall thoughts on the ending of this episode? And I'll go back to you first, Imran.
I mean, that's what's great about this whole setup is there's different rebellion factions with different philosophies, right? You have Mon Mothma trying to do the political way. That always doesn't work. You got Luthen, and the Rebel Alliance doesn't really like what he's doing. He's doing something. And then you have Saw Gerrera, who's just a fucking maniac. I love it. He's just there. So he's like, light it. Basically saying, what's the point of having a fuel for revolution if you're not afraid to light the spark and let it go? He goes, you think I'm crazy? Revolution's not for the same. And he encourages women to huff the gas fumes. I think that's what they're doing. He's sitting there huffing the rhino.
You're right, Ron. They were huffing.
Yeah, kind of like psyching himself up to get in this war. He's like, breathe it in, take it off. It was fantastic. It's a great speech, great moment with Saw Gerrera. Really giving you a lot of insight into why he's so crazy. It's because he's been huffing fumes for like 20 years. And it's just sent him over the edge. But he's right. Sometimes you got to be crazy for revolution. That is also a part of this, as well as the political end and the other stuff. Someone has got to be a little violent and light the spark. Someone's got to set it off. you know.
All right, thank you. Going over to you, Raph. What's your thoughts on the Saw Gerrera sequence and kind of the end of the episode, sir?
I found it interesting how it's like we see this dude who's learning from Willman how to do this complex machinery thing. He seems dumb. Let's just be real. He seems dumb. I'm not going to say the other word. But like, in the end, Saw's like, he was with the Empire. It's like, how did you know he was with the Empire? And the quote, and I think this is it. The quote that the dumb guy was saying was, until you tell me the station we're hitting, this is going to be on edge. Like, it's like he's trying to find a way to like get more information to justify why he's learning all these different combinations.
And he was also trying to find out how Willman knew how to do this. He kept asking him, "Who taught you how to do this?"
Even Saw asked too.
Yeah, and he didn't answer either of them. At first, I was like, "Was Saw lying when he said he was a traitor? Did he just sacrifice this dude to make a point for Willman or something?" But I think the guy actually was a traitor. But again,
they even looked in his pockets.
Yeah, they found a thing, but the guy could have planted a thing. I mean, they make it ambiguous. So I'm with you. I wasn't exactly sure, but
I think just that alone was just enough.
Yeah.
They've been through this so many times that it's like you just know the formula of how to catch a Imperial spy.
Sure.
Yeah. And the other thing is, it was quite interesting how Willman's like, he doesn't want to like stay long because he has to go back, see his lover from the wheat farm and stuff. But then in the end, he's just like, you know what? Screw love. I'm just going to join the rebellion. What a way to convince a guy to just throw everything away for the rebellion. I think that's like the other theme about Andor that we just learned. Like, look at Castian. You throw away everything for the rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Willman. And who knows who's next? Who's going to throw everything for the rebellion? Mon Mothma? Possibly, especially if you watch Rebels. I'm not going to say what happened to her, but she threw everything away for the rebellion. Just beautiful. Everything's just interconnected. You can just connect the scene to so many different places. And that is all I'm going to say.
All right. Thank you, sir. Going over to you, Jeff. Your thoughts, sir, on the Saw scene and the ending of the episode, sir.
Yeah, just another, Luthen level, Andor speech, but by another different actor. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that was a great delivery in that scene, man. That was some wonderful writing and great, great acting and delivery there. In that scene on those lines. Watching that guy, take off his mask and actually, handle, whatever was in the air, and like tolerate it, and also get high, huffing at the same time, was fucking crazy, Saw is hardcore, man, as a character. He is one hardcore motherfucker. And, that is not a surprise, Again, he's a wonderful character, he came out of the Cold Wars, right? This was the first time we've ever seen a live, action version of Saw was Andor.
Well, Rogue One. He was in Rogue One. Remember how
Rogue One? Yeah. I'm sorry, Rogue One. Yeah, which is
that scene was great. How he went out. He's like, I'm staying.
Yeah. That was a great, a great addition to the Star Wars universe when they brought him in, and great actor, to bring into the Star Wars fold, in Forrest Whitaker, very accomplished actor, to have him and Stellan Skarsgård and the same show together is a real compliment to Andor, and the show that they managed to wrangle two really well known, experienced long time, veteran actors like that, and on the show. I felt like that final set of scenes and that stuff with Saw's Rebel group and all that was great. Just a great way to end the episode. And missed Mon Mothma a lot in episode 5. You know, she's so wonderful, such a great character for Andor. You know, but you know, they've got time. You know, to fit her into the story. You know, so I'm not all that concerned about it. Just an interesting omission for her not to be around in episode 5. But yeah, overall, episode 5 is a great episode of Andor. It's the best episode of the season for me so far, without question. 10 out of 10. And you know,
I didn't ask for a rating yet, sir.
no, I'm just using that as a descriptive term. You know, no, seriously, come on. You know, for the episode or whatever. You know, overall. You know, as far as like you know, the quality of it. You know, so there you go. It's like a conversational device, sir. But yeah, I mean,
yeah, sure. Yep.
I think that you know, Saw is such a fun representation of, you know, what a major, you know, like you know, general of the rebellion or whatever, you know, if you want to, like, you know, whatever you would call him, you know, whatever role you want to give him, you know, he's just a great depiction of, like, you know, where the rebels at on the show, you know, at this stage of the rebellion, you know, that, you know, he's a great you know, representation of you know, a rebel, you know, and yeah, most definitely, I'm looking forward to seeing more of that part of season 2 story, you know, and I think that you know, the whole like what's going to happen with Luthen, you know, and his assistant, and that bug is a very interesting, you know, deal. You know, I can't wait for that to pay off at this party or whatever. You know, that should be fun. And at this point now, the Cyril Deidre stuff is like must watch TV basically. You know, so just that alone, you know, is fun. You know, every episode. So yeah, that's it, sir. That's all I got.
All right, sir. Thank you. Philip, your thoughts, sir, on that section and the ending of the episode? You're muted, sir.
Oops. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, oh gosh. Yeah. So much. You know, interest in the the plight of Willman here, and he. You know, you wonder as to the fate of his. I was totally left in suspense as to whether he would be making it out of this episode, or at least out of this arc with Saw and this other character Pluty kind of being trained to work this safe cracking device, basically to mine the rhydonium or to steal the fuel, and that that added a whole other level of the spycraft element to this episode as well. But this you know, we've probably all been in situations where, like, we thought we were just going on a 3-hour tour on the SS Minnow, and then suddenly we're just finding ourselves shipwrecked or shanghaied, you know, conscripted into this whole new situation. Of course, you know, you're saying he kind of went along willing, you know, he was eventually won over by Saw in the end. Willman was, and then Saw, you know, just so compelling in his delivery of that speech, and just I kind of hate to see Willman being overly brainwashed by the rhetoric from Saw and him kind of going full. But I guess his survival perhaps hinges on him just going all in on this Saw ideology. Because he's just kind of unfortunately along for the ride, being sort of waylaid, hijacked by Saw and his gang, and that's not. But then we see shady activity from all the kind of various rebel elements throughout this show. Certainly with you know, a beloved character like Luthen. And I say beloved just because he is so compelling as a character, but he does pull off a lot of real dark dark shit. And the same with Saw. And yeah, with this just war scenario, you really can't come away with your hands fully clean. So seeing someone like Willman becoming somewhat corrupted in a way, you know, sort of literally by the Rhydonium, and taking off his mask, and you know, doing the Star Wars equivalent of whippets. I have reservations about that, but at the same time, it is a compelling scenario. The surprise with the I kind of question whether that spy character Flutie, you know, the guy who Saw shoots, if he actually was a turncoat, or if that was another ploy. But I think he actually was, you know, working for the Empire. He was an informant. But I just, you know, it does kind of rub me the wrong way for Saw to just so flippantly take life into his own hands for these various assets that he has, you know, whether it be Willman or whoever's under his employ.
That's a good point about Willman, though, because what choice did he have? You either buy in or Saw's going to kill you.
Yeah.
That's your two options. He's not letting him go.
Well, who have we? I'm sure. I'd be curious if anyone else here has stories about, like, you thought you were being hired to do one thing or assigned one task, and then all of a sudden you find yourself on this wild goose chase. Are you interested?
Bro, I'm on that.
Yeah.
Never go to the second location. The police can't track you down.
Excellent, thanks. All right, excellent. I'm filling extra points for everyone. Good job.
Where do I redeem these points, by the way? How does one? Is there...
At www.themcsbleedingedge.org.comic.
Okay.
Store.
Slash. Is there a QR code there? I'm gonna write this down.
Coin redemption.
I'm getting my bubble gum with these points. Whatever.
Bubble gum, huh? Are you gonna take name too?
Yeah. And I'm all out of bubble gum.
All right. Anyways, excellent job, everyone. So that is the Andor episode 5. So we'll go around and ask everyone what their rating is. I'll start with you, Raph.
Yeah, so for me, episode 5, you know, I give it like a 8. You know, great production. I mean, if it had like action, I give it like a 9 or 10. But you know, pretty calm episode, so an 8.
Emron?
You know, it's tricky to judge these per episode because it's a second act of this story, right? It's not, if you watched it by itself, you'd be like, not a lot happened. You know, what is this? But it's moving the story along. I still think it's an 8, but it is just like the second act of this larger piece. But stuff pays off, and I'm enjoying this point. The slow simmer is starting to turn the heat up, you know.
Okay. Jeff.
I'm sorry, sir. I actually am lost. Where are we? Are we rating?
Yes, we're rating.
10 out of 10, sir. Like I said, most definitely. Great episode of Andor, of Star Wars Andor. Just like Philip said, I'm definitely here for it, man. I love it. You know, I'm gonna miss this show when it's over and there's no more of it.
Okay. What would you give it, Philip?
Gosh, yeah, it is tempting to go for the 10 out of 10 because with Andor, there's really nothing else out there that's able to get me off my butt to go. Well, I guess get me onto my duff. You know, sit down in front of the TV and watch some first class television. Just damn good television, as Bruce Wayne would say. But you know, it was kind of a slower episode, so I mean, maybe I would go as low as like a 9, you know, or an 8.5. But just overall, as an experience, as part of the larger whole, you know, it does belong in that higher tier of prestige TV. So, yeah, I think I will I'll be comfortable sitting at a 9, and some of those earlier episodes that I maybe thought were a little weaker this season, that would maybe drop down into the 8 or so range. But it's hard to go below that with a show like Andor, because everything is just kind of so solid and interconnected, and they're working within these 3-episode arcs. So it's hard to kind of judge anything in isolation apart from these 3-episode blocks. But I'm glad that we were all able to come on and discuss the Empire Strikes Back of Andor season 2 episode 5. I like just taking our time with this show and really immersing ourselves in each episode. I think it's a great format.
Excellent, thank you, sir. I give it a solid 10. It is my favorite episode so far of the 5 episodes. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It made me happy, ecstatic. I thought it was super entertaining. I loved everything about it, the whole concept and everything. I absolutely loved it, so I have to give it a 10. So, yeah. All right. So, Mike's MCU Award winner is, drum roll.
Cyber, we can't hear you very well.
What?
Yeah,
We couldn't hear you very well.
kind of low.
Your audio is a little off tonight.
You're off. Anyways, so I was probably because I was away from the mic. I wasn't close enough to it, so sorry. Anyways, so I said tonight's winner of the award is Philip. Congratulations, sir. You are the winner of tonight's award.
Beginner's luck.
Woohoo!
Anywho, great job, everyone. Great job. So that is it for that. I will now turn it over to Jeff for plugs.
Okay, most definitely, sir. And I will start off with Philip and his wonderfully designed website, sir. Philip, if you'd like to say a few words about the Thodcast, sir, have at it.
Oh, delightful. Yeah, I upload a little podcast fairly regularly called the Thodcast, Conversations About Animation. It was originally conceived as a podcast reviewing animated works, film and TV, but I just like to branch into everything kind of pop culture and visually stimulating, usually something that has some kind of intriguing level of production design and visual spectacle to it. So yeah, it's more than just animation, but just kind of myself and my co-host thoughts on just kind of various curiosities within the broader cultural space. And I've been a Star Wars fan my whole life, so cover a lot of things Star Wars related. Yeah, you see an episode on The Substance, which was kind of an exciting entry into the modern canon of body horror and practical makeup effects and things like that. So it had fun talking about those kinds of things. And yeah, big shout out to the production designer on Andor, Luke Hull, probably the closest collaborator from what I hear from Tony Gilroy. His first part of any, putting together any episode of Andor is just meeting with the production designer Luke Hull to go over how to construct the world. So I love anything that really immerses the audience in this constructed reality that then is presented in this film or TV format. Video games, I used to love them extensively. It's hard to find the time for them nowadays in my adult life. But the film and TV, I'll definitely make the time for more so. But being immersed in a fictional world this has always been kind of my bread and butter. So I like to celebrate that with my show, The Thodcast, Conversations About Animation. And I do love films like the Walt Disney Animation Studios films, their animated canon, and Pixar as well. Even Frozen, that was a big inspiration for me to do some of this pop cultural commentary that I do. I just kind of like the themes and messages and aesthetics of sort of that Scandinavian culture and the music and just how all that can work together to really create just this cultural touch point that was kind of unexpected for me. Something like how Disney film can really just captivate a global audience in such a powerful way, similar to Star Wars. I just love anything that has that power. Thanks so much for having me on.
Okay, Philip. All right, so let's see. I believe that next we'll do you, Cyberneticshark, sir. There you go. Have at it, Cyber.
All right, folks. So if you join me as moderating or as on the panel here at the video, check out my solo content. You can find me under Cyberneticshark on YouTube. That's my main platform. And you can find all that good stuff on there. As you see there, my most recent review are my Gene Hackman tribute to with the Poseidon Adventure review, along with the film that came out in April called Warfare, with such a great cast that's based off the memory of the co-director of the film. And it's a really great film. If you haven't seen it, check out that review of it. It's really fun. My most recent trailer reaction, of course, is Predator Badlands. If you haven't checked that out, give it a whirl, folks. It's really fun. I also have for my shorts, I think my most recent was, of course, The Count of Two, along with Sinners. Those are my two most recent mini reviews. I'll be having a mini review of Thunderbolts soon for you guys, and a full review on that as well soon, along with The Count of Two and all that kind of stuff. I have a
And Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. And working on going to see that and several other films that have come out recently. And lots more to come for you guys. So keep on trucking, keep on watching, keep on subscribing. You can check me out on all kinds of different social media platforms. You can find me on X. You can find me on Instagram, Patreon, pretty much Cameo. Most recently, you can check me out there too as well. And as always, folks, if you want to subscribe, please hit that subscribe button and keep on watching. It's fun to have you guys watching. And as always, keep watching us here at the MCU'S again. We appreciate you. And check out all these other great content creators as well.
Cyber, your audio went out again a little bit on that, brother. It's almost like you have a loose connection. Hey, Brown.
Yes, you can hear me on the Jock and Nerd podcast, well, along with my buddy Anthony, who's the Jock, and there is a puppet named Rug Boy. New episodes every week. We love reviewing genre stuff, Marvel, DC, sci-fi, kaiju movies. Next week, we'll be taking a look at the finale of Last of Us Season 2 and reviewing the Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. But yeah, we're covering geek entertainment news and reviews and whatever we choose. You can find us on any podcast app, YouTube, Spotify. Just search Jock and Nerd Podcast or visit jockandnerd.com for all the links.
All right, Imran. Thank you, sir. All right. Wrath, we don't usually do plugs for you, sir, so I will just say that it was wonderful to see you here in 2025.
I saw you like episode 1.
Well, yeah, I know that's fucking insane. Why didn't you mention that earlier when we were talking about this?
I did mention that.
You were here for episode 1. Now I feel like a fucking complete retard, man.
Bro, I mentioned Matt Leach post weight loss. Like, what else do I need to?
That was like 5 weeks ago. Who remembers?
That's true.
You know what, Wrath? That was a rough moment for me right there. As far as my memory goes, sir. And all I can say is I compare it to how rusty you were on the panel tonight a little bit at times, sir.
I'm pretty rusty, dude. I watched the entire Andor, bro. So it's like I really need to convince myself to rewatch this episode, and I'm still rusty, but happy to be on, nevertheless.
Well, you can blame the geniuses over at Disney Plus for releasing the fucking show in the 3-episode blocks like they did. You know what I'm saying? Don't blame me, sir. All right. Well, thank you very much to Cyberneticshark for moderating tonight, sir. Once again, it was great to have Philip here for his first appearance on the Bleeding Edge panel. Imran, always wonderful to see you on the Bleeding Edge panel, sir. We love the Jock and Nerd podcast. Raph, you are a wonderful friend and wonderful contributor on the panel, sir. We look forward to seeing you next week, too, for Andor episode 6 next Friday. We'll be back. I'll be back again. I'll be back for Dead City, the Walking Dead spinoff on Monday night with Andre's the Pop Culture Guy. He'll be back, and we'll be doing, I think, episode 4 of that terrible, really piece of shit show, man.
It's not good, is it? I was gonna.
It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad, man. Daryl Dixon is pretty good. The Ones Who Live was good, but Dead City does not work, man.
I can't believe they're milking this still.
Yeah, dude.
Walking Dead, just milking the Walking Dead for.
Yeah, dude. Yep. Since 2010, man. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
long time now. Yeah.
Still going, Well, anyway, so yeah, I mean, that what? At one point, that shit was so popular they had like 5 different television shows going on at one point. So they were popular, man. But again, welcome. Shout out to everybody out there that supports or follows us at all on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge, whether it's the podcast or the YouTube form of us. And much love to our supporters. Much love to all the creators on the episode recap. And we will see you as a group on Wednesday for the Last of Us finale, which should be a interesting review. We'll see. So for Cyberneticshark and for myself, Jeff S., aka TrueKnowledge, we are out.